Hello, and welcome to Philosophy 103, Moral and Social Problems. My name is Sean Brady, and I'll be your instructor for this online course. In the next couple of videos, I would like to explain what this course is about, what we will be learning about together this semester, and how we will be doing that online through Canvas. So essentially, in this course, we will be examining current moral issues within our own society. And we will be conducting that examination from a philosophical perspective. A philosophical perspective entails the questioning and analysis of each of these moral issues from a rational and critical perspective. More specifically, this course is broken up into two separate parts, separate but very connected as well. The first part is focused on moral theory, and the second part is focused on the actual moral issues within our society. So in regards to the first part, moral theory, we will essentially be examining 6 different moral theories. And each of these moral theories provides a different explanation and understanding of morality and the basic moral concepts, such as what it means for an action to be morally right, what it means for an action to be morally wrong, what it means for a person to be morally good or bad. What do these moral concepts actually mean? We use them every day, but do we have a genuine understanding of the meaning of these moral concepts? Moreover, these theories will provide different explanations and understandings for how we should go about determining whether an action is right or wrong, or whether or not we are being a good or bad person in a particular circumstance. How do we make that decision? Each theory is intended to assist us in making moral decisions. So essentially, we will be using these 6 different moral theories as a kind of foundation upon which to build. We will lay the foundation of moral theory first to generate different understandings of morality. And then we will employ those different understandings and we will apply these theories to the actual moral issues. And when we do that, when we apply different moral theories to each issue, that will generate different arguments and different conclusions regarding the morality of each issue. The 6 moral theories that we will cover in this class include moral relativism, divine command theory, utilitarianism, Kantian moral theory, natural law theory, and social contract theory. And as I hope to show, some of these theories are stronger and more useful than others, and perhaps by the end of the moral theory section, you will have 1 or 2 moral theories in mind that seem strongest to you, in which you may believe are the correct moral theory. Moving on to the second part of the course, we will transition from these moral theories to the moral issues themselves. And as I was essentially mentioning a second ago, with each moral issue, we will be examining different perspectives and different arguments on that issue. The different moral issues that we will cover include world poverty and hunger, drugs and addiction, euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide, same-sex marriage, the death penalty, abortion, and the ethical treatment of animals. So in regards to each issue, we will be asking the question, what's the right thing to do? So for instance, in regards to world poverty and hunger, we will be asking the question, do you and I, as relatively wealthy people who are living in a first world country, do we have a moral obligation to help other people who are living in third world countries and who are suffering from poverty and hunger? Do we have a moral obligation or a moral duty to help them? We will examine an argument made by a philosopher who employs the moral theory of utilitarianism to argue, yes, we in fact have a very strong moral obligation to help these suffering people. After all, we would want them to help us if we were in their shoes, if we were the ones suffering. But we will also read an essay and examine an argument by a different philosopher who provides a competing argument that's based in social contract theory. And he will go on to argue that no, you do not have a moral obligation to help suffering people. You are completely justified in keeping your money and your income for yourself. After all, you've worked very hard for it. So who's right? What's the correct answer in regards to this moral issue? Do we have a moral obligation to help, or are we justified in not helping? For another example, take the death penalty. We will ask the question, is it ever morally permissible for the government, the state, to punish a criminal with death? To kill a criminal for their crime? Is that ever morally permissible? If so, why? If not, why not? What are the reasons for the death penalty either being morally permissible, morally right, or being morally wrong? You know, should we continue to retain the death penalty in our society? Or should we completely abolish the death penalty through all 50 states? What's the right thing to do? We will examine two competing and different arguments, each of which are based in a moral theory. And we will be doing that for each of the moral issues I mentioned earlier. I would like to emphasize that one point of this class is for you to develop your own views on each of these moral issues. What's the right thing to do in regards to world poverty and hunger, the death penalty, abortion, eating meat? What's the right thing to do? I want you to develop your view on those questions. For some of these issues, you may have already begun to do that. On some of them, you may not have. In any case, part of the point of this class is for you to question your own views on each of these issues and to further develop them, to further establish what you believe is the right thing to do. But I also want to emphasize that the point of this class is not to establish absolutely certain or absolutely correct answers to these questions, to our moral questions and to these moral issues. That is to say that the point of this class, I think, is more to explore and to examine the various possible answers to each of our moral questions. Most likely, at the end of this course, you will be left with far more questions than answers. And I honestly think that that's part of the value of philosophy, is that it helps us recognize the unanswered questions that we have. So I think now is a good time to transition to the second video, where I will explain a bit about how this course will be run online through Canvas. So if you'd like to progress to that video now, that would be great. Thank you.